Hello everyone, happy Christmas, happy New Year, all that sort of jazz. Michael Bailey, Paddy Davitt here at Colney to look ahead to Brentford away on New Year's Eve and of course Derby on Bank Holiday Monday. We've just been in with Alex Tettey and Alec Neil. Something slightly more jovial about Alec Neil today. He seemed to be in a slightly better mood than last time, Pad. But I guess we have to discuss the two key issues, which were the Jez Moxey interview that's happened in the week, Alec Neil's take on that. Do you want to give that first? You asked him about that?
Yeah, he basically said it, wasn't for his benefit. It's nothing that he hasn't been told in private. Doesn't think it's going to change any fans' opinions because he's not stupid. He can hear fairly hostile reaction as he stood there on his technical area for the last two games. So he knows exactly, as much as he's in this bubble and he's trying to insulate himself, he's not stupid. He knows full well that vast majority don't want him in the job anymore. So, as he said, basically he did put on record again that he's had nothing but support from the owners and the chief exec and the board. I thought the interesting line was when I put it to him, does he feel almost embarrassed that they've had to come out now and do this because it's effectively a result of the failings of him and his players over a prolonged period of time? And he was quite happy to accept that he does feel that he's almost letting them down. Principally, he's letting himself down, obviously, and the players are letting him down and ultimately letting the fans down. But the fact that it's almost that they clearly have felt the need to come out and say something because he's not doing his job right. So you can tell that he's taken that on board. Ultimately, it doesn't make any difference, does it? You're not going to change people's minds. What he says, what Jez Moxey says, it's all about results. It's all about what happens on the pitch. So it's done now. They've said their piece. Everybody can have an opinion on it. His opinion is it wasn't something he instigated. The board have decided to do it, but in terms of the support, he knows, which is where Jez Moxey reiterated, it's not a finite resource. Even as supportive as that ownership is, if the results don't turn swiftly, then we all know how it ends.
Yep, and in entire honesty, as always, from Alec and Neil. What we also had, of course, is the Sun story about his possible payoff. That's all right, Pat. It's just giving us a little wave. Excellent. Good old camera.
Low battery, mate.
Low battery. That sums up a few things, I think. Basically saying from Charlie Wyatt, the story in the back of the page of the Sun, Alec Neil will be given a new contract in the summer, effectively, meaning that he got a slightly less of a pay decrease from relegation, I think, and effectively a £2 million payoff should he be sacked. I think that were the general details. And we're not commenting on it. I can't talk about my own contracts. I wouldn't talk about players' contracts from Alec. I guess there's nothing else he could say without a denial. You can't assume that it's wrong.
Well, I'm not sure what you can say at all about that. Basically, he wasn't going to comment on the specifics of the mechanics of that story. So I don't really know where you can go with that. Ultimately, he did make the point, or reiterated the point, that they all took pay cuts, players and management, when they went down. So, whether that means that cut was no longer the case for him when this supposedly new deal was put on the table, I don't know. It's basically I haven't gleaned anything from speaking to him directly that would either confirm or deny that story. So. Don't really know what more we can say about that. The story's out there, not helpful, as he says. The timing isn't helpful, but ultimately, what more can we say? What can we add to it? He didn't add to it, so we can't add to it.
And there is a game taking place. Of course, Norwich will be without Graham Dorrans, who's going to be out for some time, but not surgery, as he confirmed to you, to his knee injury, medial ligament damage, I think it was. And Johnny Howson suspended, which is a big blow, and a Brentford side that Norwich did 5-0 a little while back and will probably pose more problems than they did then.
Safe to assume that will be the case. As he said, anybody's expecting them to go down and win 6-0 because they beat them 5-0. Don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be a totally different game. They've picked up since. Apparently, they've gone back to a different type of shape in terms of personnel and how they set up. So, as always, we find ourselves explaining prior to the game what Alex Neil thinks is going to happen, but whether they can counteract it when the game's in progress is another matter entirely. And on this run, they haven't been able to do it enough. Asked him, was Pritchard going to be highly in his thoughts, given that he was excellent in that 5-0 win at Carrow Road? and you would think he would be, because ultimately I don't think they're going to have changed drastically from the way they wanted to set about it at Carrow Road. So why wouldn't you play a guy who was effectively the difference that day, particularly as he's got limited room for manoeuvre behind him in central midfield now. As you rightly say, no Dorrans, no Howson. I think we'll be seeing Malumbu, and personally I would like to see 1 or 2 changes in the back line as well, but whether that will be the case or not. Did say 1 or 2 things around Maddison and Toffolo and Closer, so basically not quite to believe what you read. So Maddison is by no stretch confirmed and going to Aberdeen for the rest of the season. He's actually back here Monday at the training ground. Scottish League stops, I think, for winter, so and talks will remain ongoing with Aberdeen re-extending the loan. But as we sit here now, nothing is confirmed, and the same with Toffolo. And as for Closest, as you were, it's just speculation, anything to do with his future. Or Brady, who was touted obviously with a move again in the last few days. Ultimately, though, he's reaffirmed what we already know, what Moxie himself made clear, that if Norwich want to sign a new player next window, they're going to have to ship players out. How easy it is to do that remains to be seen.
It's going to be a fascinating month indeed. We'll be at Griffin Park on New Year's Eve at the wonderful hour of 5:30. Already looking forward to it. We'll see you then. Don't forget, all the coverage you'll ever need will be at pinkun.com. Join us there.